My name is Amara. I grew up in a small, warm village near wide green fields and a slow river. The sun was bright most days, and people knew each other well. Many people said I was the most beautiful young woman in the village. My skin was deep brown and smooth. My long braids rested on my back when I walked. My eyes were dark and bright like the night sky, but I did not want people to see only my beauty. I wanted them to see my heart, my work, and my dreams. I was also known for my work. I was a weaver, and I loved my craft very much. Every morning, I sat beside my loom and worked with bright threads. Red, yellow, blue, and green moved through my hands. Slowly, they became beautiful cloth wrappers. Women wore them to the market and to festivals. When people saw my work, they smiled with pride. They said my hands were blessed. People also talked about another thing. I was still a virgin, and in my village that was very important. Many elders respected me for waiting for marriage. Because of this, many men wanted to marry me. They brought gifts to my family. Some brought yams. Others brought goats, palm wine, or small pieces of jewelry. They hoped their gifts would open my heart. But I was careful with love. I did not want a man who only wanted my beauty or my purity. I wanted a man who truly knew me. I wanted kindness, patience, and respect. My parents, however, were worried. One evening, my father spoke to me. He said I was growing older and should think about marriage. My mother agreed with him and said they wished to see grandchildren before they became too old. In that time, there was a man named Darien. He was the son of a village leader and a skilled woodworker. People respected him because he built strong chairs, tables, and doors. He also worked for the chief's house. Darien came to my parents many times. He spoke kindly and said he wished to marry me. Even the village leader visited my father and praised his son. At first I was unsure, but I agreed to know him better for my parents' sake. Darien was friendly and confident. He told stories that made people laugh. Slowly, our families began to plan a wedding. The village women talked happily about the celebration that would come. I tried to believe everything would be good. However, as the wedding day grew closer, Darien began to change. He often asked me to be alone with him. He said we would soon be husband and wife, so there was no reason to wait. Each time he spoke like this, my heart felt heavy. I reminded him that I wished to wait until marriage. One evening, he spoke again and again, asking me to trust him. I loved him then, and I believed his promises. At last I agreed, thinking it would bring us closer before our wedding. But when we tried to be together, something strange happened. My body felt tight and painful. Darien could not enter me at all. I asked him to stop because the pain was too strong. We tried again the next day and the day after that, but the same thing happened every time. Darien became angry and impatient. One day, he spoke cruel words that broke my heart. He said he only wanted to marry me because he wanted to be the first man in my life. Then, he ended our engagement and walked away. Soon, the whole village knew my secret problem. Darien told everyone that no man could be with me. People whispered when I passed. Some laughed behind my back. Others said terrible things. A few even said maybe I was not a real woman. Their words cut me like sharp knives. After that, I began to doubt myself. I wondered if something was truly wrong with my body. A few men still came to test the rumor, but each time the result was the same. None of them could enter me. Slowly, the men stopped coming. The village that once admired me now avoided me. My parents felt great pain seeing my sadness. They took me to the village midwife for help. The old midwife examined me carefully and spoke with a serious face. She said my condition was rare. My body was too tight, and it might make marriage and childbirth very difficult. My parents and I tried many herbal remedies, but nothing changed. Even with this sorrow, I did not stop working. I spent long days weaving cloth. The sound of the loom helped calm my mind. My bright wrappers continued to fill the market with color. People still bought them because my work was good. Yet inside my heart, I carried deep loneliness. One market day, a stranger stopped at my stall. His name was Lucan, a trader from another village. He bought and sold cloth in many towns. Lucan looked closely at my wrappers and smiled with surprise. He said they were the most beautiful pieces he had seen in a long time. We began to talk often when he visited the market. Lucan was cheerful and respectful. He asked about my weaving and listened with true interest. Slowly, a gentle friendship grew between us. For the first time in many months, I felt comfortable smiling again. After some months, I noticed something in his eyes when he looked at me. It was not pity or curiosity like the others. It was warmth. One evening, he walked beside me after the market closed and said he wished to know me better. His words made my heart both hopeful and afraid, because my past still followed me like a shadow. I did not know then that this trader would change my life and lead me into a story I never expected. After Lucan told me he wanted to know me better, my heart felt confused. Part of me felt happy, but another part felt afraid. I remembered the pain and shame from the past. I did not want to feel that pain again. Because of this fear, I began to avoid him. Whenever I saw Lucan walking toward my stall in the market, I quickly found a reason to leave. Sometimes I pretended to be busy. Other times I closed my shop early and walked home through another road. I knew this might hurt his feelings, but I did not know how to face him. Lucan noticed my strange behavior. At first he looked confused, but he did not become angry. Instead, he gave me space and continued his work in the market. Still, I could see sadness in his eyes whenever we passed each other. One afternoon, while I was arranging my colorful wrappers in my small shop, Lucan suddenly appeared at the door. I was surprised and almost dropped the cloth in my hands. He spoke softly. "Amara, if I have done something wrong, please tell me. I do not understand why you avoid me." His voice was calm and honest. I could not find any anger in his words. I felt ashamed because he had always treated me with kindness. I looked down at my hands and told him I needed some time to think. Lucan nodded and said he would wait. Before leaving, he said something simple but powerful. "I only want to understand you." For many days after that moment, his words stayed in my mind. I realized that if I continued to hide, the truth would never change. One evening, Lucan invited me to walk with him by the river after the market closed. At first I hesitated, but then I agreed. The sunset that evening was beautiful. The sky was painted with soft orange and pink colors. The water of the river moved slowly and quietly beside us. Lucan turned to me and spoke gently. "Amara, you can trust me. Please tell me what troubles your heart." For a long moment I said nothing. My chest felt heavy and my eyes filled with tears. But something about his calm presence made me feel safe. So I began to tell my story. I told him about Darian and our broken engagement. I told him about the painful nights when my body refused to open. I told him about the cruel rumors in the village and the laughter behind my back. I told him how the midwife said my condition might never change. As I spoke, tears rolled down my cheeks. I felt embarrassed and weak, but I forced myself to finish the story. When I finally stopped speaking, the river was quiet around us. I was afraid to look at Lucan. I expected to see the same shock or disgust that I had seen on other faces. But when I slowly lifted my eyes, Lucan's face showed only sadness and compassion. He reached for my hand and held it gently. "Amara," he said, "you are more than this problem. Your kindness, your strength, and your talent are what truly matter. I do not care about what people say." His words surprised me. In my life, most men cared only about one thing. They cared about claiming the first night with a woman. But Lucan was speaking about something deeper. He continued, "Love is not only about the body. Love is about trust, respect, and walking through life together. If you allow me, I would like to stay by your side." His words touched a place deep in my heart. For the first time in many years, I felt a small light of hope. From that day forward, Lucan and I spent more time together. We talked while walking through the market. Sometimes we sat beside the river and shared stories about our childhoods. Lucan kept his promise. He never pressured me or asked me to prove my love in ways that made me afraid. Instead, he showed affection through small and gentle actions. Sometimes he brought sweet fruits from other villages. Other times, he helped carry my heavy baskets of cloth to the market. When the day ended, we often sat under the stars and spoke about dreams for the future. Slowly, my heart began to heal. People in the village soon noticed the friendship between us. At first, the villagers were curious. Many of them remembered the rumors about my condition. They whispered to each other and wondered why a successful trader like Lucan would spend time with me. But Lucan never showed shame. He walked proudly beside me in public. He greeted people politely and treated me with respect. Over time, the whispers began to change. Some villagers started to admire the way he cared for me. They saw that our connection was built on patience and understanding. With Lucan's support, my weaving business began to grow even more. He traveled to many nearby villages for trade, and he started bringing my wrappers with him. Soon, women from other towns began asking for my designs. My colorful cloth became known in places I had never visited before. This success brought joy back into my life. My parents were also happy to see me smiling again after so many years of sadness. One evening, Lucan and I sat beside the river once again. The moon was bright above us, and the cool air felt peaceful. I looked at him and said quietly, "You have taught me something very important." Lucan smiled and asked, "What is that?" I took a deep breath before answering. "You showed me that love does not need perfection. Love only needs acceptance." Lucan squeezed my hand and looked at me with warm eyes. "And you," he replied softly, "have shown me what true strength looks like." Months later, Lucan asked my parents for permission to marry me. They were surprised at first, but they could see how much he cared for me. Our wedding was simple but full of joy. Even some villagers who once mocked me came to watch the ceremony with quiet respect. Life with Lucan was peaceful and warm. We laughed together, worked together, and supported each other through every challenge. 2 years passed after our marriage, and our love only grew stronger. Yet deep inside my heart, one silent worry remained. Sometimes late at night, When the house was quiet, I wondered if one day Lucan might grow tired of my condition. I also carried another painful wish. I wished I could share the physical closeness that most married couples enjoy. And more than anything, I wished I could give Lucan a child. Even though Lucan always treated me with love and respect, a quiet fear lived inside my heart. I worried that one day he might become tired of our situation. I worried that my condition would slowly push him away. These thoughts often came to me at night when the house was silent. Lucan never complained, but I knew he also faced pressure from his family. His parents and relatives did not understand our marriage. They believed a wife must give children to her husband. Because of this, they sometimes spoke cruel words about me. They accused me of strange things. Some said I had used dark magic. Others said I had eaten my own children before they were born. These terrible rumors hurt me deeply. Sometimes Lucan's relatives even came to our home to shout insults at me. Every time this happened, Lucan stood beside me. He defended me with strong words and asked them to leave our house. Still, the pain of their accusations stayed in my heart. One afternoon, I was sitting alone in my weaving shop. The loom moved slowly as my hands worked, but my mind was heavy. Tears quietly rolled down my face while I worked. At that moment, an old woman walked into the shop. Her clothes were worn and simple. Her hair was gray, and her back was slightly bent with age. She greeted me with a gentle smile. I quickly wiped my tears and welcomed her politely. "Good afternoon, Mama," I said. "How can I help you today?" The old woman looked around the shop at the colorful wrappers hanging on the walls. "My granddaughter will marry soon," she said softly. "I want to buy a wrapper for her wedding gift, but I am a poor woman. Please show me your cheapest ones." I showed her several pieces, but when I told her the prices, I saw sadness appear on her face. She slowly shook her head and prepared to leave. "Thank you, my daughter," she said quietly. As she reached the door, I felt something move in my heart. "Wait, Mama," I called. I walked to one of the shelves and picked up a beautiful wrapper with bright colors. I placed it gently in her hands. "Please take this for your granddaughter," I said. "You do not need to pay for it. I wish her a happy marriage." The old woman looked at me with wide eyes. Tears filled her face, and she began to bless me again and again. "My daughter, may your kindness return to you many times," she said. Before leaving, she paused and looked at me carefully. "My child," she said quietly, "I have heard the whispers in this village. I know about the trouble you face." My heart began to beat faster. The old woman leaned closer and lowered her voice. "There may be a way to help you," she said, "but the path will not be easy." I listened carefully as she spoke. She told me that in the city there was a clinic for women. Doctors there helped women who had problems like mine. They used medicine, knowledge, and special exercises to help the body relax and heal. "It is not magic," the old woman explained. "It requires patience and courage, but some women have found hope there." My heart filled with excitement and fear at the same time. As soon as the old woman left, I rushed home to tell Lucan everything. At first, Lucan looked uncertain. The city was far away, and we did not know if the treatment would truly work. But when he saw the hope shining in my eyes, he gently held my hands. "If this brings you hope," he said, "then we will try." The following week, we traveled to the city together. The clinic was larger than anything I had seen before. The doctor who welcomed us was kind and patient. She listened carefully to my story and examined me with great care. Then she explained my condition in simple words. She said my body had learned to stay tight because of fear and pressure from the past. This problem was not very rare, and many women experienced it. With the right treatment, the muscles could slowly learn to relax. The treatment was not quick or easy. I learned breathing exercises and gentle stretching movements. Sometimes the doctor gave medicine to help my body relax. There were days when I felt frustrated and cried. I worried that nothing would change. But Lucan stayed beside me through every moment. He never rushed me. He never complained. Instead, he reminded me that we were walking this path together. Weeks slowly turned into months. Little by little, I began to feel changes in my body. The fear inside me slowly became smaller. My body started to trust again. After about 6 months of careful work and patience, something beautiful happened. For the first time, Lucan and I were able to share true physical closeness without pain. That moment was gentle and emotional. Afterward, Lucan held me close and whispered how proud he was of me. We continued the treatment for many more months to keep improving my health. Then one day, I noticed something different in my body. After visiting the doctor, I heard words that filled my heart with joy. I was pregnant. Lucan lifted me into his arms and laughed with happiness. Our long journey had finally brought us this miracle. Months later, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Our home was filled with laughter and love. 2 years after that, we welcomed a baby boy into our family. The villagers who once mocked me now saw our happiness with their own eyes. Many people apologized for their cruel words. My parents held their grandchildren with great pride. My weaving business also grew even more. With Lucan's help, my wrappers traveled to many villages and markets. One evening, our family sat beside the river, while the children played near the water. I looked at Lucan and smiled. "You never gave up on me," I said softly. Lucan wrapped his arm around me. "And you never gave up on yourself," he replied. As the sun slowly disappeared behind the hills, I realized something important. True healing did not come from magic. It came from courage, knowledge, patience, and love. And together, we had faced the impossible and found happiness. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this story, please support my YouTube channel, Cozy English Story. Subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends who are learning English. Also, leave a comment and tell me where you are listening from. Your support helps this channel grow and allows me to share more warm and simple English stories with you. See you in the next story on Cozy English Story.